Once upon a time in the village of Arica that lay quiet and serene, a place of winding paths, green fields, and old whispers. In one small home, Mr. Nuru, a man burdened by sorrow, raised his only child, Tousi, who had become the light in his life after her mother vanished mysteriously years ago. No one knew where Tousi's mother had gone or why. Villagers still whispered about her, but whenever Tousi would ask her father, he'd say, "One day, butterfly, you'll understand." Though Mr. Nuru adored his daughter, calling her his butterfly with warmth and affection, he was always protective, never allowing her too far from his sight. Tousi's only solace was her pet parrot, Kaya, a creature that had an odd habit of mimicking voices, sometimes echoing phrases she didn't recognize, like, "Beware the butterfly's shadow." It was a phrase that haunted her, a shadow cast by a mystery she could neither solve nor forget. One sunny day, young Tousi, around 8 years old, was playing near a group of village children when she spotted Mehdi, a boy just a bit older. He stood out with his confident stance, a boy who seemed to know his place among others. She admired his outfit, and with a shy smile, Tousi said, "You look good, Mehdi." But instead of a smile, Mehdi sneered at her, replying loudly, "Get out of here, ugly goat." His voice carried, and the other children laughed, some even echoing his cruel words. Tousi's heart shattered. From that day, the village children began calling her ugly goat, taunting her whenever she walked by. She withdrew into herself, covering the mirrors in her house, unable to bear her reflection. She spoke to no one except Kaya, who seemed to understand her hurt. Kaya would sit with her, listening as she shared her sorrows, an unspoken bond growing between them. Years passed, and as Tousi entered her 20s, she became known for the scarves and rags that covered her face, her eyes always cast down. Then one day, Kaya returned from its daily flight with something unexpected, a letter tied to its leg. Curiously, Tousi untied the note, her fingers trembling as she unfolded it. "Dear Tousi, you are beautiful, not just in the way you look, but in every way that you are. I see a light in you." The letter was unsigned, but the words touched Tousi's heart. For the first time in years, she felt a warmth she hadn't known before. She tucked the letter away, waiting eagerly for the next day, hoping for another note. Her wish was granted. Soon, Kaya brought her more letters, each one delivered in elegant handwriting, each one calling her beautiful. Please, before we continue, subscribe to our channel. Your subscription means a lot to us. Thank you for subscribing. Now let's continue. Each letter seemed to know her, to reach into her heart and reveal things she thought no one could see. They made her feel worthy, beautiful, loved. And so she began to reply, leaving her own letters tied to Kaya's leg, writing with a heart open and ready for love. Every letter she received held a new mystery, an elegance, a gentle hint that her secret admirer was someone who knew her well. As the letters continued, Tousi began noticing hints, small phrases and childhood memories woven into the words. They were intimate details, things only someone from the village would know. Finally, one day, her admirer asked her to meet him in the grove by the old river. With her heart racing, Tousi walked to the meeting place, clutching her scarf. She saw him standing there, and her heart skipped a beat. It was Mehdi. For a moment, she was silent, her mind struggling to process what she saw. The boy who had hurt her so deeply was now the man calling her beautiful. "You?" she whispered, her voice trembling. "But you called me an ugly goat." Mehdi lowered his gaze, shame evident in his eyes. "Tousi, I was a fool, a child who didn't know the power of his own words. Every day, I've regretted what I did, I've watched you, admired your strength, your kindness, but I was too ashamed to face you directly. Writing to you was my way of apologizing, of making things right." Tousi's heart pounded as she tried to reconcile the boy who had hurt her with the man standing before her. She wanted to leave, but something held her back. Back home, Tousi wrestled with her emotions. Her father's words echoed in her mind. "You are my butterfly, a creature of beauty, even if no one else sees it." She wanted to forgive Mehdi, but the old wound lingered. One evening, as she sat alone, Kaya began to speak in her mother's voice, as it sometimes did. "The butterfly's beauty comes from within." Startled, Tousi felt tears gather in her eyes. Her mother's words perhaps had been guiding her all along. Mehdi didn't give up. He visited her often, each time speaking gently, confessing how he had been haunted by the hurt he'd caused. His vulnerability softened her heart, and she began to see him anew. Days turned to weeks, and with each meeting she felt her anger fade, replaced by something tender and unexpected. The boy who had once been her bully was becoming a man she could trust. Finally, Mehdi asked Mr. Nuru for her hand in marriage, promising that he would spend his life honoring her, cherishing her, and making up for his past. Her father, who had watched Tousi's joy return, gave his blessing, seeing the love in Mehdi's eyes and knowing his butterfly had found someone worthy. On their wedding day, Arika village transformed into a place of celebration. Villagers who had once mocked Tousi now gathered to admire her, their voices filled with awe at her beauty. She walked without her scarf, her face radiant, her eyes filled with light. Kaya, her faithful parrot, perched nearby, watching the ceremony with pride. As Tousi and Mehdi exchanged vows, Tousi felt the weight of her past finally lift. She was no longer the girl burdened by the words of others, but a woman who had learned the strength of forgiveness and the beauty within herself. After the wedding, Tousi and Mehdi built a life filled with laughter and shared dreams. Mehdi encouraged her to pursue the things she loved, standing by her side as her most loyal supporter. Their story became known in Arika as a tale of redemption, proof that wounds could heal and love could flourish even in the most unlikely places. Years later, Tousi and Mehdi sat together on a hillside overlooking the village. Tousi's heart was full, her past a distant memory. Beside her, Mehdi held her hand, both of them stronger and better for the journey they'd taken together. Moral of the story is that true love sees beyond appearances, and forgiveness has the power to transform even the deepest hurt. Beauty, after all, is a light that shines from the heart,